Good day, my friend. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Quality Viz, whose motive is knowledge sharing is the knowledge caring. So today we are going to cover the topic risk management, also the risk-based thinking. So there the definitions are there. Before going to understand the risk management or risk-based thinking, better we understand the risk definitions. Before going to definition, you can see there is one picture that is called the risk and rise. It means risk is equally important to rise in our life. So what is the definition? First is risk. Generally, the risk we use the risk as a negative, but it's not like negative. It is the effect of uncertainty. So in our daily life, there is uncertainties are there, right? This uncertainty can be positive, can be negative. So risk is called basically effect of uncertainty. Second, risk management. So the risk management definition says that is a coordinating activity. It means a systematic approach. You have to properly define the PDCA approach. You have to take all the actions, you identify the risk, you have to prioritize the risk, take the action, review and update. Then consequence is the outcome of effect, right? It is the outcome of an event affecting objective, right? Likelihood is a possibility of happening, right? It is a also called the occurrence. So risk management is a combined definition or a systematic approach to deal with the risk so that we can be to be benefit. It can be not be harm to us, not be hazard to us, right? Now we go by the risk management. So before going that what is the risk, I just need to put your information on the system requirement. All the industry specific standard they are based on the 9001. In the 9001 ISO 9000 there is a requirement of identification of internal and external issues in the clause 4.1, identification or determination of the need and expectation of the interested party in the clause 4.2, and the process definition which include the define or identify the risk and opportunity for the process. Apart from this, you can see that this box is black. It means risk is applicable everywhere. It is applicable to our daily life also. It is applicable to our professional life also. It is applicable to our personal life also. In the management system, risk is always applicable. The clause 6.1 is a primary clause which defines. Apart from this, many areas is required for the risk management. This is applicable to your project management. It is applicable to your transfer of the process. It is applicable to your requirement management. It is applicable to your purchasing. It is applicable to production. But when we discuss different type of the risk in the system, like when we talk about the process risk, generally we call the risk register, risk assessment, and when we call the risk related to the manufacturing process, right? Like you have a manufacturing process, you have a welding, you have a painting, you have machining. When you are conducting the risk assessment to specific to that manufacturing process, that is called your PFMEA, right? Apart from this, when we talk about the risk, this is called the DFMEA. Apart from this, another risk that is called the FMCA. So there are different type of the risk management risk tools are there. They are acquired as per their applicability. So what is risk management? So before that risk management, we can identify. How can we identify? There is different methodologies are there. One is called the SWOT: strength, weakness, opportunity, and the threat. So this strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat combined is called the SWOT analysis. So you can identify the risk also by the SWOT analysis, right? Also, you can identify the risk by the PESTEL analysis. What is the PESTEL? PESTEL is you call the political, economical, social, technological, environment, and legal. If any change in this pastel areas, it will also is a trigger input to the risk management. So whenever you are conducting the risk management, you can consider the SWOT analysis and pastel. I am saying that you can. It is not mandatory, but it is recommended. You can use this in your process of risk management. So also apart from the different type of risk, there are strategic risk, operation risk, reporting risk, and your compliance risk. When you talk about the strategic risk, so you can say economic, industry, strategic, social, technological, political, and organization. When you talk about the operational risk like environmental risk, financial, business continuity, innovation, commercial, project, human resource, health, property, everything. Right? For example, if you get take the innovation risk. How, so anyone can ask how this will impact to us. For example, you are serving a company, right? And you are not changing with respect to the innovative environment requirement to you, then there is a risk to your company. So these things are also part of your risk management. Then in terms of reporting, your information risk are reporting risk are there, right? The reporting risk, if you're not properly transferring or the right information to a right person, then there is a problem, right? Compliance risk, legal compliance risk, your control and the professional. So there are different type of the risk are there. In general, if I say that risk is not like in the part of our company, it is not part of our management system. It is a part of our daily life also. It is start from our life to complete is the journey of the life. So risk is a part of your product life cycle. Risk is a part of your life cycle also. So what are the principles? Right. So the only thing is that system thing, the risk is a different thing is that my process is that no, it's not like that. This is a part of your integrated of your management system. Right. It is an inbuilt requirement of the system. It is a mandatory requirement or part of your management system. If you go by the requirement, first clause of the management system ISO 9001 and also for other all other standards which are based on the 9001, right? It is called 4.1. 4.1 then 4.2 4.2 all these things are required to be considered when you are doing the risk assessment under the clause number 6.1. So it is a part of integrity. It is a structured approach, right? It is a proper, it is not like unstructured, today you are doing something, tomorrow you are doing something. No, it is a properly structured approach. You have to define the criteria, you have to define the methods to identify that is, you have to define the priority, right? Everything need to be clearly defined, then customized. But it means that it's not like you can apply all the rules to the all type of the risk. It is customized. There can be high risk also, there can be low risk also, depend on the type of the risk, depend on the type of the organization. It can depend, inclusive of the process. It's a dynamic. It is not like a one time activity, it's a regular activity, right? You have to define the risk, and ultimately it's a cycle of PDC is same applicable to risk assessment. Best available information, right? Human in the culture factor and the continual improvement. If you go by the risk management, so what is the risk management process? The context. But you have to identify the why you do want to do the risk assessment. Ultimately, you have to define the area, thought process, what is required, what is the motive of this risk, and how you identify the risk. After this identification, you have to define the risk analysis. Then risk evaluation. Because when you do the risk analysis, you have identified a lot of risk. Maybe you have defined the thousand of the risk, right? You have defined the hundred of the risk, but it's not possible to evaluate or take the action of each everyone. What you do, you prioritize. You have to define the prioritize. You have to define the categorize. You have to define the criteria for the risk. Then your risk treatment, right? It means on the basis of priority, you have to take the action. But the important is part of the communication. It is throughout the risk cycle and also the monitoring the review and then recording and reporting. So this is the complete risk cycle. This is going for the risk management and you can say the risk based thinking. But the thing is that whenever we are talking about the risk, don't consider we are just only talking about the risk. Is it opportunity is equivalent to that, right? When we are talking about it, it means we are talking about the risk and opportunity also. Means the positive outcome of the uncertainties become the opportunity. So, how to identify the context? What is the objective? What is the outcome expected? Why you want to do the risk assessment, right? What is the resource required? What are the factors? But different type of the factor, there can be different type of the risk assessment. Different type of the expectation, different type of the risk are there. Ultimately, we have to define why we are doing. What is my criteria? What is my objective to do the risk assessment? Is it a process related risk? It is a risk related to the manufacturing process. The risk related to design. Risk related to our personal life. Ultimately, everything we have to define what is objective. Now, how you identify the risk? This can be tangible or intangible source of the risk, right? Then the threats and the opportunity, right? Change in the external internal context, indicator of the emerging risk and the consequence and the impact. All things are considered when you are to identify the risk identification, but you identify the risk for your process. Next, risk analysis, right? So you have to identify, you have identified a lot of risk, right? If I summarize the risk, what is the risk? First of all, you have to identify the risk. Then you identify the impact of the risk. What is the impact? If this uncertainty will be happen is executed actually, then what is the impact, right? And this impact is how serious, right? It is highly serious or medium or low. Then what is the possibility of this happening? What are the chances of this happening? Then you identify the risk number, you identify the risk criteria, and then you prioritize. Same thing is there in the risk analysis in the evaluation. You identify the likelihood of the event and the possibility of occurrence, right? What is the chances to be happen, right? Then consequences. What is the impact of that? It is impact is very low impact or high impact. Then time factor. Sometimes this is depends on time also, right? It's not a regular. It depends on the sometimes seasonal risk is also there, right? Then the culture risk treatment. For example, you are residing, your company is here near to the sea. There is a possibility of cyclone. So again, the time-based risk, right? This is defined. But if you identify that you have done properly risk assessment, so you is better. You can do identify the risk properly, take the actions on that. Now you identify the lot of risk. Now you categorize because the categorization is more important. It is not. It's just an example. You can define by there are different way to categorize the risk, right? What is the quantitative risk? Second, the qualitative risk. Quantitative is like you have defined some numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can say I will evaluate on that way. Acceptable. You can say I will do on the qualitative risk. I low, medium, high. That's okay. That is also acceptable. But the important thing, whenever you talk about this categorization, that must be clearly defined your management system. How you categorize the risk. And same is applicable. Same will be implemented. Same be followed by all the respective peoples, all the respective processes, process owner, team members, right? This is an example. You can say we have defined the risk in the five categories. Likelihood is equal to occurrence can be 1 to 5. It's a highly possible chance of occurrence. I will give you a 5 number. It's a low, I will give the 1 number. Then severity. If it is high serious, then I will give the 5 number. And then the impact is very low, so I will give the low number. Then I multiply this. I have different table is there. So I can say above the 25, 15 number. If my risk number is above the 15 number, it is a high. So what I do, it is high, it will be my first priority to the tax action on that. It is my first priority to take. Then I will take the orange number, then I will take the yellow number. So different ways are there. Again, I'm saying there is no properly defined method. It's again defined by the company. Whatever the company defined in the management system, that is applicable. Now risk management, that's just an example for you. The case is there, right? In the case, if you say that there is a case is there, lawn inside the case, and the person is to fit is outside. It means the possibility of very low and seriousness is very low. So you can say very low risk. Now there is another case is there in which the fencing feeding is there, right, with the head. So, but there is a possibility of attack. But because the barricading is there, little bit safe is there. Another case is that his inside has to fit high risk, right? And again, without PPs, right? So different cases are there on the basis of the risk, on the basis of impact. You can define the chances of risk at occurrence, and then you have to define the risk number. So you have defined the risk number. Now you have prioritized, right? So what is the methodology? What is the philosophy which is used for the risk management? First of all, we have to identify how I can be convert this risk to an opportunity, or we can say that how can I convert this negative impact into the positive, right? If it is not possible, if it is not possible, then we go by the risk, avoid the risk. How can I avoid the risk? Is possible. If it is not possible, then how can I reduce the risk? Right? If it is not possible, then how can transfer the risk? So there are different methodologies are there, right? Somebody take the my first priority to avoid the risk. Somebody is reduce the risk. Different things are there. First of all, the output or the intent of this arrangement is that either we have to convert this to opportunity or we have to reduce the negative impact by the different ways, either avoid, reduce, or the transfer. Next, just example for you, right? So just an example. It's not like a mandatory you have to use. Just a sample for you can add more thing in that risk also. You can make this more detailed. depend on you, right? So this is the example is that you can identify what is the process, what is my process or activity name. In that process or activity, what is my risk or issue? You can identify what is my risk or issue. If this risk or issue happened, what is the impact, right? For example, there is a possibility that I will, maybe I'm going to my office, I can get delayed. If I delay, what is the impact? I have to identify the impact. Then if this impact is happening, how serious is this, right? I just take an example for you. For example, you're going to catch a flight, right? If you're stuck in a jam, and due to that, if you miss the flight, what is that severity? Is a high severity, right? What is the risk? Due to traffic jam, you can miss, and what is severity is high. Now you can find how many possibilities are there. The way you are using from going to your location to airport is highly congested or normal. What is the possibility? How much time you are taking in your travel time? All things will be considered. So there is a possibility of happening. If it is a high traffic zone, you can say it is a high possibility of occurrence also high, right? So depend on that. Then if you multiply that severity into occurrence, you find the risk rating. This rating is a number, right? On the basis number, you can define which will be first priority for your taken action. So you have to take action as per your defined criteria. Always remember, each action is incomplete without the responsibility and the target date. So it is mandatory to define the responsibility and the target date. After that, now the action is not stopped. Now, after some time, you have to again review what is my status. Then again take the actions, revise the severity rating. I just take example for you. For example, you have to cross a road, right? In the road, if you cross, there is a possibility of chances of accident, and the chances is high. But after today, you conduct the risk assessment. But after 1 year, when you again going to do the risk assessment for that area, you found there is overbridge is there, foot overbridge is there, right? So now the possibilities changes, risk is changes. So the point is that the regular review is required. Maybe the risk identified today is low, can become high after some time, and vice versa. Maybe can there can be new risk also there. Maybe the risk you consider in the last is not exit now, right? But one more thing, clearly understand that sometimes we use the zero risk. So zero risk is not possible. Always you can say either low risk or medium risk or the high risk, or and the basis of number. So again, the thing is that PDCA they continually improve. So risk assessment, review, improve, risk assessment, review, improve. This is a cycle, this is life, and things in the system is our belong to our life. So we link our life with the management system, so it's very easy to understand, right? If you are new to my channel, right, you can just subscribe for that. Also you share with the right person who wants the knowledge on the risk assessment and other management system requirement, other quality related requirement, right? You can share with them, right? Okay, thank you.